Hello tanks and tankettes, and welcome to a pair of viewer replays. And as you've noticed, yes, still no intro on this video. I haven't actually copied everything across yet. The biggest bottleneck so far was the World of Warships files. The 10 or 11 old client versions I had saved that I pulled off the old drive. That took a while. That was something like 18 hours. And you might be thinking, what? Well, World of Tanks, all the clients that I've got saved for that, and that's actually more data. That was about 250 gigabytes versus about 180 for World of Warships. That was done inside of, I think, 3 hours. But Warships took something like 18 hours, and you might be thinking, that's ridiculous. Was I, hand copying the ones and zeros from one drive to the other? Well, the fact is that those Warships clients, a lot of them were the old monstrously bloated, unpacked Warships clients, where the files were just kind of lying around willy-nilly. I totally know what I'm talking about when it comes to computers. But yeah, it makes a big difference, the number of files to be copied over, not just the actual size of the file. So it was over 1.5 million files to be copied, and that's why it was so slow. Anyway, that's done now. That's probably the biggest single chunks of data to be transferred. I've got most of what I need. I still can't hook up all the drives that I need to hook up, so that is why I'm having to slightly half-ass this in terms of no intros or outros or anything, but we're getting there. So, it's a pair of Type 58 replays. The Type 58 is the tank that you play to get to the IS-2, and the T-34-2 if you're going up the Chinese line, and it's basically an inferior T-34-85. It has slightly worse accuracy, worse gun depression by 2 degrees, considerably worse power to weight. It's something like nearly 2 horsepower per ton. It has a much slower shell velocity, and I think the only things where it really kind of makes up for it are the fact that it's got better terrain resistances. I think it goes 1 kilometer an hour faster, which obviously makes all the difference. But crucially, it has much better DPM. When I say much better DPM, it's only something like 150 base DPM over the T-34-85. But when you're top tier like this, when your penetration doesn't matter so much, then that's fine. However, having said the penetration doesn't matter so much, Crusader Tank is firing all of the APCR, and he actually said in his email he didn't mean to fire all of his APCR. I think he maybe loaded it up for the M6, which, you know, if you angle the front armor even slightly, the M6's armor could be a problem for this gun with the AP shells. It's only something like 126 average pen. But yeah, he just kept firing the APCR, and it's going to be rather costly. So, he's got 5 kills already, and he really wants that 6th one. The looks almost, but not quite, burns out. And clearly he's thinking, ooh, Top Gun, I'll go for that. However, his own looks even has got the same idea, and okay, a little traffic accident there, but it's fine. I don't think that was intentional. But yes, this thing, well, even though it is, in theory, about the same speed as the T-34-85, you do feel that almost 2 horsepower per ton less on occasion. So it's not so bad in terms of accelerating downhill, but when you're going uphill, it's going to be a bit problematic sometimes. So he decides to abandon that chase, leave the looks to it. There's only a couple of enemies left at this point. This particular game, this was just a complete smash and grab. It was... I don't know, he's already pumped out a bunch of damage, he's done a bunch of kills, and it's literally just mopping up these last couple of enemies, including a T-34-85. Now, although this is the inferior gun, apart from DPM, it is still an 85mm, so it still does a pretty reasonable amount of damage. So it takes 1 hit from the T-34-85, and I don't know that that guy does have his Top Gun, but I don't know that machine well enough to know, because I've never played it. Yes, I actually went through the Russian medium line. I went through the heavies, and then I went through the KV-13 to the T-43. So I've never played the T-34, and I've never played the T-34-85, which, considering the T-34 was the most produced tank of World War II, and it's quite iconic. I've just never played it in game. Not for any particular reason, I just never got around to it. Although, you know, having gone myself through the Chinese mediums, well, through to the heavies really, but I've played the Type T-34. So I kind of have. I've played the Chinese copy. Anyway, up behind the T-150, and although that was AP, into the rear armour was not going to be an issue. So that's 8 kills. There we go. And there's no way he's going to get pools. There's only 1 tank left. But if you can get this last guy, the birch gun, then that will bring him to a nice number 9. I don't know why I said it that way. That was strange. Anyway, so that was a Mark of Excellence, Ace Tanker, Radley-Walters, High Caliber, and Top Gun. And how much damage did you do exactly? Well, no mods to tell me, so there we go, 3,875. This is one of those occasions when that extra DPM over the T-3485 actually came in really useful. And it's probably a good thing that he was able to do that much damage, because a lot of his team, frankly, weren't very good. There were actually a bunch of, there were like 2 or 3 tanks that just seemed to mill around in the cap circle the entire game. And yet, despite that, they won. So, the next match, as I alluded to, is going to be very marginally worse matchmaking, except not really. There is literally 1 tier 7 tank per team, and it's pretty nice matchmaking for both those tier 7s. This is ImmortalityPrince, and on his side there's an SU-12244 who ought to be able to absolutely mop up, right? I mean, facing all these lower tiers, he should have a pretty nice time in terms of being able to bounce things with his armor, and of course with his DPM, with that 122, he should be able to pump out the damage. On the enemy side, it's another high DPM machine. It's the Comet, which has got pretty good mobility. It has got a pretty good rate of fire, and although it doesn't have the most penetration, it will be more than good enough for this kind of matchmaking. So that's a very, very lucky first shot for Immortality here. Or maybe I should just call him Prince. That'll be slightly more... I keep wanting to say Immorality Prince, and I don't know why. Anyway, so yeah, he had 1 lucky snapshot, but the next one is not quite so lucky. RNGesus giveth and RNGesus taketh away. So the SU gets the kill instead. Now, it's looking rather like the enemy team haven't much bothered to come here. Now, at the start of, or towards the start of the first replay, we had Crusader Tank basically facing off against multiple enemies. And they were in such a position that they weren't really able to use their superior numbers. So it was a case of 1 tank managing to overcome multiple enemies just through positioning. We're going to see something similar in this one, except it's going to be the inverse of that. Because this time it's going to be Immorality. Nope, see, there I did it. Immortality Prince's team who get stymied by inferior numbers. There are 3 tanks defending here. Jackson, an Archer, and that VK. Now the Jackson's got a nasty 90mm gun, but when they all turn up, well, they've mostly got decent health, and you can see there's a trickle of allies coming up through the city area as well. So, in theory, this is 3 versus, what, 6? 7 tanks? I think it's 7 if you count the Leopard, although he's all the way down south, so he's not really in this fight. But, you know, by the time the BDR and the Skoda and the Allied VK, they all get here, that should be fine, right? Except, oh, well, they just lost to VK. Okay, never mind. But they've still got overwhelming numbers. Except, this is, yeah, what they're doing is they're allowing these 3 tanks to control the engagement. They're trying to play peekaboo, and because they are letting these guys control the engagement, they're just having their health whittled away, and that's making them ever more hesitant to push. So they're rapidly running out of a good window to make a push, because if they'd all come in and push together and been able to, you know, spread the damage between them, maybe they would have lost 1 or 2 tanks, but they would have easily gunned down these multiple enemies, because there's only 3 of them. But it's not going to work out like that. Now, Immortality Prince himself, I mean, he's trying to side scrape and he's doing a bit of damage, but the teammates behind him, they're all just, yeah, he's playing peekaboo, they're all playing peekaboo, and it's, I mean, they're whittling away the health of these guys as well, but I think he glances round, there we go, and you just see that his allies don't seem to have that much health between them. They don't seem to be that willing to push at this point. So it might just be that they all came in such a scattered fashion that this was sort of inevitable. But also, maybe we should take note of the fact that there are no platoons here. This is all just a group of random strangers. So, you know, one of them, like ImmortalityPrince, might have gone, okay, I'm going to push. And then nobody pushed him behind him, and he went in alone and died for no reason. And then the rest of them all just sat there. So, it's tricky sometimes knowing if you're going to have the support or not. So that Jackson's doing some nasty damage. The T-24 just took a big hit. Basically, ImmortalityPrince and the BDR are the only ones that can now afford to take a hit from the Jackson. He can one-shot the rest of them. There's still the Archer lurking back there. And the VK, well, it's fragile, but it's got a pretty nice gun. And he's actually in a reasonably held-down position as well. So the BDR takes out the Archer. And at this point, ImmortalityPrince, he's decided maybe he should try and get a different angle. But he's faffing a little bit. He's looking for a shot on the VK and not quite finding it. He might have been able to get one. He's kind of just getting the top of the turret there. I mean, that's probably not going to connect. Not with this gun. It's actually, as I said, marginally less accurate than the T-34-85, despite being, in most ways, not quite as good. Anyway, he's able to take out the Jackson, but, I mean, these guys have exacted even, a really heavy toll. This is 3 tanks that have held up almost half the team for quite a number of minutes now. And that's I mean, if they'd been able to really use their numbers and be aggressive and push this flank, this could have gone very differently. And maybe they could have gotten over to the other side, and this would have been a very different kind of a game. But as it is, well, ImmortalityPrince is now going in, and there's that gun depression, or lack thereof, and he's able to circle strafe the VK, but he takes a hit in the process. And apart from his own VK, who's now very low health, well, everybody else is dead. So that didn't go very well, all things considered. So, of the enemies at this point, he starts to head back, and the VK was going to the cap, except, yeah, he was thinking of defending because he thought the enemies were going to go for his cap, but they did the exact same thing, or they had the exact same thought. They went back to defend their cap and killed that low health VK. So, we at least know the Comet and the SU have gone back there, which, at least, that gives us the information that this KV-1 is alone. Now, he's got APCR loaded at this stage, and this was on purpose this time, because he thought he was going to encounter the Comet, and if, you know, hold down Comet against this gun with AP, yeah, there's every chance that that would not go well. So the T-67 even, I almost said, I don't even know what I almost said there. My brain was trying to force sounds out of my mouth that didn't even make sense. Anyway, he, I think, was firing HE at the KV-1, and I figured perhaps he'd just run out of ammunition, because the T-67 does not have a high ammo count. But no, I suspect he was just saving his remaining AP or APCR for the other tanks, because of course there's still a Hellcat, and he knew ImmortalityPrince was going to be here as well. So we skipped ahead a little because the Hellcat decides to go off on a little mission to the north. Now this is one of those situations where it's just a guessing game. They could be sitting up there, and ImmortalityPrince and this T-67 could be sitting down here, and it could just be a draw because they both assume the other person's going to attack, or the other team's going to attack. But I don't know, there's the risk that if you start to push up and you go there and they are defending, I mean, the Comet can be, it's got a good view range, it can be pretty hull down, and oh, well, there is the Comet, speak the devil. So it would be a very tricky proposition, and the SU-100 has easily one-shot all of them. So this is difficult. But as it turns out, well, maybe they were defending, and then the Comet decided, okay, I better move to their cap. Or I think just nobody quite knew what the other team was doing at this point. So the Comet was spotted down in the middle. He's gone back up to the cap. The Hellcat's now behind the cap, but he's not going to last too much longer. Now, if he's lucky, ImmortalityPrince can get a shot here, but I think that was not the best aimed shot, and also it's like 0.36 accuracy on this gun. It's not fantastic. Anyway, Hellcat's down. He's completely wary of this SU-100. I mean, he's knocking stuff over, which is a bit of a giveaway, but he's confident he's not spotted. And there's the 2-minute timer, so yeah, time's running out on this one. Now, the T-67 is up on the 1 line. He's down here. In theory, he could spot for the T-67 if the Comet then comes down here again, or the SU-100 comes down here again. So, well, in fact, we don't know where the SU-100 is at this point. He hasn't been seen for a while. And then, lo and behold, he pops up on the 1 line. And he doesn't have the top gun. Well, that is good news. Now, he's probably still going to be able to one-shot the T-67 even so. But if that's the 85mm gun, well, at least it's not quite as scary as the big 122mm derp. So he tries a pot shot at the Comet, but he's now got his attention back on the SU-100. And of course, the SU is, well, he's pretty blind. He's not going to be able to see ImmortalityPrince, but he is, of course, lighting up the T-67. And unfortunately, the Comet is going to be able to snipe him. That's a minute now. And, well, this is, you know, this is going to be a draw at this rate. So, Immortality decides, to hell with it, I'm going to push up, and, you know, if the T-67 doesn't die, there's nothing left to lose at this point, in theory, except I've already kind of spoiled that the T-67 does die. The T-67 is actually going to come towards him. I was slightly wrong, I thought he got hit earlier than that, but anyway. So, there's the Comet, who's made a push. It's all come down to this. T-67's down, and ImmortalityPrince is now going to be spotted. Oh, 7 health. Can he do it? Oh, well, ImmortalityPrince can take the hit, but this Comet can't. And, oh, don't move, Immortality, don't move, just aim. Ah, there we go. Gets the kill with 7 seconds on the clock. Oh, well, that was a little bit more tense. The first one was just a complete romp. And this one was a very different sort of match entirely. So again, an ace tanker and a high caliber, 2400 damage with 5 kills. The T-67 did reasonably well. 1200 damage is not bad, but considering some of the seal clubbing you see going on in T-67s, it's not that good. The 122-44, meanwhile, yeah, considering the matchmaking, you'd think that would have been glorious, but no, he had a terrible game. And the Comet didn't have that great of a game either. It was only about 1800 damage, so again, it could have been a romp, but it was the complete opposite. So that's that pair of replays for you. Hopefully you enjoyed them. I'm hoping to get things back to normal this week. I'll also remind people, in case they missed it in that series of emergency videos that I did, that if you're a fan, if you've been watching the books videos, then I'm basically going to, from now on, put that stuff onto a different channel. So I'll put that link in the description below. But yeah, once I've got everything sorted with the drives, I'm going to re-upload the books videos that are on this channel. I might remove them from this channel, I'm not sure yet, but yeah, they will be re-uploaded to the new channel, and obviously new stuff will go on that channel as well, although it probably won't have a very regular upload schedule. So hopefully you have enjoyed these pair of replays, and if you have, you can hit the like button, you can leave any comments below, you can sub to my channel if you aren't already, and as always, stay tuned for more.